On June 15, 2026, the stock market went on an absolute tear. The Dow hit a record high, and the Nasdaq surged 3% for its best single session in months. Look at the news coverage from that afternoon, and you'll find a unified explanation for the rally. Everyone credited the new framework agreement between the US and Iran. But treaties don't magically make Apple or Microsoft more profitable overnight. Tech stocks are valued on the cash they expect to generate years from now, and those future profits are dictated by hard math, not diplomatic harmony. To understand what really drove the market, we need to look at this chart of US crude oil. Over the span of a few weeks, the price of a single barrel plummeted from well over $100 down to about $80. That drop registered almost immediately at your local station. The national average for a gallon of gas slid from $4.56 straight down to under $4. The trigger for that sudden, massive relief originated thousands of miles away, in a narrow strip of water in the Persian Gulf. For 4 straight months, the heaviest weight on both trillion-dollar tech portfolios and household budgets was physical access to a 21-mile-wide shipping lane. This map shows the bottleneck at the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 1/5 of the world's seaborne oil squeezes through a 21-mile gap. When Iran declared it closed on March 4th, 20 million barrels of daily supply stopped moving. Iran enforced this closure through physical naval power and the explicit threat of military strikes against commercial shipping. To pry the shipping lane back open, the Trump administration applied a mix of military presence and direct negotiation, treating the strait as a non-negotiable strategic objective rather than a regional squabble. The entire crisis proved that a hostile government doesn't need to attack a country's homeland to inflict massive economic damage. This flowchart tracks the economic damage. First, the blocked strait drove Brent crude oil up 55%, nearing $120 a barrel. Second, because energy moves everything, that surging price acts as a universal tax, driving up headline inflation. Third, that persistent inflation traps the Federal Reserve. Under the new leadership of Kevin Warsh, the central bank is forced into holding interest rates punitively high to cool off rising costs. Finally, we see the market reaction. High interest rates aggressively discount the value of a dollar earned in the future. For tech companies relying on profits arriving in 2030, those high rates crush their current valuations, pulling the Nasdaq down. But when the US and Iran reached a framework to reopen the strait, that entire chain reaction slammed into reverse. The ships move, the oil flows, crude prices drop, inflation math cools, the threat of rate hikes vanishes, and traders flood back into tech stocks. Energy sits entirely apart from other market sectors. It is the core physical input that determines the operating cost of the entire global economy. There is a deep irony in who ultimately benefits from the strait reopening. The single largest buyer of the crude flowing out of the Persian Gulf is the Chinese Communist Party. Beijing absorbs massive amounts of Middle Eastern oil, yet they commit no equivalent military forces to protect the routes. They effectively ride for free on the American naval power that keeps those lanes secure. Zooming out from the geopolitics, the last 4 months gave us a highly controlled, real-world experiment about what actually causes high prices. Politicians blame expensive gas on corporate greed, but the math shows a massive supply shock. 20 million barrels were physically blocked. You can't fix physical blockages with policy papers. Taxes or price caps wouldn't move a single extra tanker. The inflation crisis only broke the exact moment the barriers were lifted and physical ships were allowed to transport oil again. The only cure for a supply shock is actual physical supply. No matter how abstract our digital economy feels, our portfolios, our prices, and our daily lives remain tied to the hard realities of physical geography.
This is Market Truths. Clear analysis of markets, technology, and power.